What are the top 5 champions that desperately need a buff? Hello everybody, welcome to a brand new top 5 series. And yes indeed, last week I asked you all the question, which are the top 5 champions that need a buff? Yes, that's exactly what we're doing right here. How this particular series plays out is that people put their top 5, and then what I do is I create a tally system. It means that you just don't get one vote per person in something like a poll. It means you get to like put multiples, and then we get a better idea of well, selection of, and also kind of data, which I think is really important, and Kabam should really take it seriously. Although one person didn't really get the idea. Yes, I think Hercules, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Ghost, Corvus, and Hyperion. No, that's not how. No, just no. Now we had 134 comments, which led to a massive volume of tallied information from people putting their top 5, and also going a bit above and beyond, even putting like one suggestion answers, and that's great. It was also a stark reminder. Yes, I just did that joke, and as well there's an Iron Man there. Aren't I clever? But in all seriousness, it is a big reminder as to the extent of champions that desperately need to be buffed within this game. I mean, you only need to do what I've just done here, which is go to the very bottom of champions that need to be ranked past rank 1 to find some of the, well, average and just dull champions that aren't really effective within this game that has evolved incredibly since it was conceived back in 2014 to where it is now in 2022. You need damage, utility, anything really, with some of the nodes that have been changed with this game. So a lot of champions from the old school need to be changed to the new school. The data we got is incredible. With the volume of people and the extent of where they voted does give some really kind of cool information. And especially going into the top 10. Now we'll dissect the top 5 in a moment, but I just want to look into the extent of like what was building up the final lot. So on number 10, were with 8 on the tally score, was Phoenix. That was mentioned several times. Cyclops, Blue Team, and OG Iron Man figure out the 9th position with 9 points, 9 on the tally score. Iron Fist plus the Immortal version got 13, and that was number 8. Number 7, Spider-Man Classic and Superior Iron Man equally got 14, with Juggernaut getting 16. I think the same case is going to be revisited. Not to say that some of these characters are some of the biggest and most important in the Marvel universe, and they are, but I think that this just goes back to a point that we're going to end on this video, but a point that's going to be throughout the video, and that is, if you're getting your first ever 6-star champion, and let's face it, a lot of people do get the first 6-star champion and get new 6-star champions each and every day, you want to get something that is worth your time and investment into the content. You can use a usable champion to then go through stuff, and at the end of it, if you get like a champion you can't use elsewhere, or you get a champion that's not very usable in the current meta of the game, you can be left feeling like pretty disappointed. So you're kind of like, why couldn't this be better than it is? And especially with when it comes to the name, the association, the cinematic universe, and a lot of players and people's interest in Marvel characters. Why can't they be as powerful as their comic book counterparts? Why can't they be as powerful as their movie counterparts? And those are constant questions that players ask of themselves and also ask of the developer at the same time. Now let's go over the top 5. Number 5 is Moon Knight, and let's face it, like, there's nothing really too impressive. There's some good bleed rotations for Moon Knight, but there's nothing really that kind of stands out for me. And that's a good reason why I haven't taken my 6-star past rank 1, because I just don't really believe it as a character to be super effective in various different types of ways. Especially as we've seen like the power of Khonshu in the Disney Plus series. You kind of like look at this character and go, my god, there could be so much more of an opportunity as we've seen comic book powers go into a Disney Plus show. Why can't these kind of comic book powers and all the things that could be associated with it go into something like, well, Marvel Contest of Champions, in any kind of Marvel based game? This figured out a 17 points on the tally and is our top 5. In at 18 points is Captain America, the OG version, even though the World War II version did chart in a good amount of score with a respectable 6 on our tally system. The high voting, that was this OG version, I think goes back to a lot of kind of OG players of the game. And yeah, for like new players as well. If you're picking up Captain America for the first time, you might be looking at, I don't know what point you're coming into understanding Marvel characters, whether or not you're going back to comic books, whether or not you're seeing in the MCU. There's been several different versions of Captain America, and sadly, the OG version doesn't really pack much of a punch. The World War II has some nice bleeds to it and nice stun, and not to say that this champion doesn't really kind of, well, have it. It's just a case that it's lower down the pecking order. So it would be nice to see somewhat of a buff down the line for this champion, especially with lots of people having him in your roster and going, what am I doing with this guy? Nothing? Well, things need to change. Now, a bit of a double whammy time, and quite conveniently for this, I've got them side by side. That is Hulk and Sentry. These two characters are both getting 21 points, and that's good to see that a lot of players are passionate about these two. Sentry was recently given a buff, but this is meant to be like Sentry is meant to be one of the most, I was going to say if the most, one of the most powerful Marvel characters out there. Something we still haven't seen in the MCU, and something a lot of people that are huge Sentry fans would like to see just more damage, and definitely the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns, which he doesn't have in Marvel Contest. OG Hulk, on the other hand, kind of slips down the cracks of the other Hulks. Joe Fixit recently got a buff, and we're kind of looking at the OG version going like, ain't you meant to be powerful as well? Like, I know, not exactly Red Hulk powerful or Immortal Hulk powerful, and they're pretty powerful, but you kind of think that the OG version would be, equally good, if not on the same wavelength and level for that damage. But again, we don't really see it in MCOC. Groot now is in at number 2 with 25 on the tally score, and it is a very weird one with looking at the OG. Well, I say OG Groot because technically King Groot is the OG of the Groots, or a member of the species of them. In any case, whatever, not going down that rabbit hole. But Groot, in any case, is a champion that a lot of players have. I also find it kind of weird that King Groot was buffed before like OG Groot, or behind this Groot, sorry. And I don't know whether or not that Caban planned to add a newer version of Groot down the line, but it definitely would be an idea to go right, well, a lot of players have him. They have him as a 6-star. Sometimes he's got him like not an awaken, and going like, what we do with this? This is not really a champion that's used for a multitude of things. And look, if he was doing more damage, I'm sure people would kind of like play into that cleanse mechanic that he has, and there's some good stuff there at the moment immediately, but you kind of go like, it's just not a champion that a lot of players would be interested in using, especially if there was a Karina's challenge. That would be very, very annoying to have that, but definitely a champion that got a lot of votes, a lot of interest, and definitely does need a buff down the line. And now finishing off at number 1, it's got to be Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange is an interesting champion. He's been through such a lot. The OG version, as I remember playing back prior to the 12.0 update, and the way that, say, Scarlet Witch, Thor, and a couple of other characters were performing, they performed exceptionally. And you're kind of looking at Doctor Strange thinking, back at the time, like, he is around forever. The amount of regen he can get, the amount of damage potency he can do, the interest, the survivability. And then 12.0 happened, and we all then went, oh, that's not nice. And kind of thinking, well, what could happen? Where could Doctor Strange go? And unfortunately, he hasn't gone anywhere. I was hoping a new version would come to the game, but it does give me hope that the old version could be looked at in some capacity to improve its potency and also gather back that interest. I certainly like the model that Caban present, and they've already had like some models, some kind of like little figurines made of this particular version of Doctor Strange, and it's a great version of Doctor Strange. He went through this kind of point of being able to run, so he was kind of like he was running on the kind of the ground, and then he levitated, and that happened back, I think, 2016, 2017, and so that was a cool little thing. But nothing's really happened to the champion since. And I think with the popularity growth of the character, Benedict Cumberbatch's like vision of him or motivation, how he's going to deliver it on screen, it definitely inspires people to see a better version come to the game. But one of the other key things is pulling the champion, especially when you come to the game at 4-star, thinking that the champion's going to be really good and do a lot of damage, and very much disappointed. And also those OG players of the game are looking at the versions of now they're picking up 6-star versions, 5-star versions, and looking at this champion going like, what am I going to use this for? There's other champions that outweigh the utility factors. It doesn't perform in some way similar to most other mystics, especially on potency of damage and potency of utility factors, with others like opting for other versions. I'm looking at you, Symbiote Supreme, because you're Doctor Strange, but symbiote version. So yeah, it just would be great to see a lovely Doctor Strange buff that would really interest players. So Kabam, if you're watching, and a lot of people were very disappointed with the fact not seeing this buff close to the release of the film, not to say they have to do that, but definitely a case of going, look, the stats don't lie, the data doesn't lie. Even on posts where you're talking about Doctor Strange and not seeing a buff, people want it. Give Doctor Strange that buff. Make sure to keep locked onto the community tab as we get information and do more top 5 series. I think this is a great way of gathering information because it is it's factual and also brings together like community ideas and information, which I think is great about kind of creating content like this. So yeah, make sure to look out for that one. We've probably got another one coming up today or tomorrow, and then we'll get the video up the following week once I've spent hours collecting together the tally data, but it's good data. But in any case, do you agree with that top 5 and top 10? Put it in the comment section down below. Do you think that it should fall in a different way? Thank you very much for watching this video. Check out some other content which will be located on screen right now, and I'll see you in the next video.